Yes, we girls of Gem in Kibale, we still have a challenge. How to go about it, to struggle for the future. We girls of Gem in Kibale, we still have a challenge. How to go about it, to struggle for the future. The future in your hands. Please never lose it. Keep in touch with it for the better Uganda.
Okay, girls. This afternoon we are going for an outreach.
Yes.
We are going to talk to these people about HIV/AIDS. What should we tell them?
I think we should show them the vision. If you want a healthy life, what current rate are you having? What are the action steps are you going to follow to reach that vision of becoming healthy?
And furthermore, I think we have to tell them the dangers of HIV, how it is spread and how they can get it.
I want to talk about, I think if we tell them about the vision, they should have a clear mental picture of knowing what you truly want. I think they will not meet those problems. If you know what you want, you have to set your action steps, you have to set your goals that will lead you to achieve those things.
Then, the vision. For example, if someone wants to become a nurse, then should know her current reality and also the action steps. And if she has that vision of being a nurse, she can't do other things that would really have to be becoming a nurse.
Even in the fundamental choice you make, it leads you to what? If you have decided to do this, if you know, if I take this route, I may be trapped, or I get this route, so you decide to take a right route.
Today, some of the students from the URDT Girls' School are visiting another school in the Kagati area to talk about AIDS, HIV, girls' empowerment and the creative process. These girls come from some of the poorest families in the region, but their education in the creative process has put them in the position of building the lives they want to live.
What have you prepared for them? Role play. A debate about them. It's not a debate but a discussion. Okay. Even sports. We have sports, show them traditional dance, and a poem. No. How are you?
Role plays, and among others, flash sports. Then, we also do have counseling and guidance during when we are at school during Saturdays, where we inquire different skills like interpersonal skills, the skill of awareness, assertiveness, not aggressive. Most girls are so aggressive to boys. When a boy talks to you, you just bark, abuse him, you do anything. But we don't encourage that. Right? This is a current reality. The situation we are just, the current situation, right? This is what? This is a current reality.
The girl presenting talks to the group about the creative process and how it begins with a vision of what you want to create. Next is to understand the current reality you have, and from that structure create action steps you need to take to accomplish your goal. This is a process called structural tension.
There are action steps you need to take.
You want to reach here, but you are still here. Because you are students, so now the choices you make, the decisions you make, you have to see that they are all made to make you attain or reach to what you truly want.
Awake and we fight. Pick up the spear, pick up the shield. The enemies within, eggs in the world. Come, join up the battle. Eggs is the killer. Eggs is the lion. Eggs is the thief. Who is to hope? We are to hope. Eggs will kill.
The fact is that the majority of approaches for supporting the developing world do not work, especially long term. One reason, most of them are problem-based. The problem, whether it is poverty, starvation, cultural conflicts, environmental mismanagement, or lack of education, generates specific types of actions. The way the problem is defined almost always defines the solution. If we said the problem was starvation, send in food aid. If we said the problem was disease, send in medical aid. This situation leads to a structure in system dynamics called shift the burden to the intervener. The more those who try to help by bringing in resources, the more they are pulled into the system, which has the long-term effect of weakening those being helped.
The way URDT envisaged is that people can actually work for that which they desire, irrespective of whether they have problems or not. And development had, for a long time, focused on how to get rid of a problem. Now, this is what we are taught in most of our life. We are taught how to work around problems, so find solutions to problems. But now, this is how do you create the life you want? How do you work for the aspiration that you have and put it into being?
Over the past decades, billions of dollars have been squandered on well-intentioned programs that had little chance of living up to their noble aspirations.
By and large, development work in Uganda in particular and Africa in general was based on premises of relief, aid. Every time there were crises, the international community would intervene, and that kind of approach did not lead to permanent or lasting change.
Often, development aid is based on the premise that developing nations don't grow because they lack financial resources. But financial resources have relatively little impact on growth rates when compared to other factors. As Hungarian-born British development economist P.T. Bauer argues, economic achievement depends on personal, cultural, social, and political factors, that is, people's own faculties, motivations, and mores, and their institutions. The fact is that most approaches to help the developing world have often backfired and had a negative impact, the opposite of what was intended. Food aid programs have increased dependency on the outside world while diminishing the ability of local agriculture to produce food. According to a recent Agency for International Development, many African institutions officially responsible for planning and implementing development are saturated with development assistance, paralyzed by administrative inefficiency, staggering beneath a burden of complex and different donor requirements, and are themselves in danger of becoming obstacles to development.
So the question was, can there be another way of approaching development without relying so much on aid? Which aid, of course, we also know has a lot of strings, a lot of conditionalities. And I think above that, there is a tendency to think the one who is bringing aid knows better than the one who is receiving aid.
Another aspect of the lack of success of most developmental programs has to do with the fact that they were imported from abroad. Besides the shift the burden to the intervener pattern, there is also a lack of understanding of the indigenous cultures that are needed for a program to succeed over extended periods of time.
The question was, what would be the most effective way? And luckily enough, Silvana Veldkamp and her husband, Han, and the Ugandan friend, Eustace Rutiba, had gotten in touch with the Robert Fritz, who had started a training, a thought process in using the principles of creating, where people look at what they truly care about, what their aspirations are, rather than looking at what the problems are, which always use the knee-jerk approach. So then they designed a program that would help the communities to sit down and look at what the life they want for themselves, what the life they wanted for their families, for their communities, and ultimately for the nation. So that was a departure for us from using the problem approach.
What I like about URDT is the methodology we use, that is the visionary approach or the creative process.
People are actually actively working for the aspirations, you know. You have a family clearly defining their vision. In 5 years, this is what we want. And they are going to work towards it.
It is a true and the most perfect approach that we can use to bring about sustainable development.
And we are learning from other countries, like for example in Ethiopia, they used to have cycles of farming every 10 years, and then the people would come in with a lot of aid, a lot of support, they would organize concerts. So in the short run, it would look like, wow, we have a relief and they eat and they think the problem is gone. After a period of time, the capacities of the citizens to produce food also goes down continuously, and yet then they start all over, so those cycles. So the Uganda Rural Development and Training Program, which is a success of the Uganda Food and Peace Project, uses the premise that people have aspirations, they care for a better life, and therefore it is to just engage with them so that they can make those kind of choices.
The visionary approach, if we use it very well, it can lead us to sustainable development, because you create, every time you achieve what you want, you create another thing.
Once you've worked with people to come up with their aspirations, refine their visions, they have to assess where they are at any given moment in relation to that vision or aspiration, and then they set up action steps on how to go about it. So they are deeply involved in the evolution of the idea, the analysis and assessment of where they are, good or bad, and how to, bridge that, resolve that discrepancy between what they want and where they are.
One of 7 children, Irene lost her parents by the time she was 2 years old. She lived with her uncle, who she loved very much. But when she was in primary school, he also died. She needed to earn some money to pay for her school fees and got a job in a market. The owner of the market raped her. She got pregnant and had a hard labour. The baby was healthy. She had wanted to be a motor mechanic her whole life, but was told that because she was a girl, it was impossible. Once she had entered the URDT vocational school, she had a chance to pursue her dreams, but with many complications.
Principal had to take us in class and told us, you close your eyes, see what is at your home, look under the beds, what is your home doing, what you want to change now. If you want to change something home, what is the step taken to change home now? In class I used not to be active, but I could go to him personally. I say, Principal, you said we close eyes and see home. Now, for my case, I have no home because my parents are not there. My uncles denied me because of the fistula. What is the home I have? Now he told me, no, I don't know, what do you want to be in the future? Because what can you create now to change what you've been thinking? He told me, when in creative process, when we are teaching creative process, we are teaching you what can you think which can change your life. We know you have no home. We know your parents, you don't have them. He told me, excuse me, you can change your life, sit down. What do you want to see your life tomorrow? You draw it for me. I drew it. He told me, what is this? Which step are you going to take to reach that? I had to tell him, I think I should study much and work hard. He said, no. You know that though you work hard and study hard, remember, due to studying, there are challenges, and due to working hard also, we have challenges. How are you going to overcome the challenges? He used to train me in that. Now, going back home, in my room, I could reflect on what he has been telling me. Now,
In creating my life again, what can I do? What can I think best for my future? Now, it told me, Irene, when you're creating these things, remember you a girl. Secondly, you will hear people say that you will not make it, which means you will have something pulling you behind and something pulling you up. Remember, what is going to pull you behind? Those are people who are going to say you're not capable of doing that. Which means you're going to have that structural tension. You know you have what you want, but there are people who are telling you will not make it. How are you going to do it? You guided me in that way, and it helped me a lot. Because when students could say no and make me sit behind it, because that I'm wasting their time. And during practicals, they could not even allow me touch anything. But when I go back again to principal tells me, no, don't complain. At this time and this moment, you should not complain in life. What you should do, learn how to resolve the structural tension. I'm telling you, when I'm teaching structural tensions, it means those are the challenges you're going to get in order to reach what you want. And it helped me a lot. Wherever he tells me that, I go back. I did it, and so I was actually best than those who have been seated in front. Yeah. And finally, I succeeded, and you attended my graduation. Now, I don't know, because sometimes we think something we want, and now I saw that, again, the level I'm on, again, I've created another one. I'm seeing that again, I want another, because I am seeing I want again to upgrade. Now again, I've created again the structural tension. After the graduation, last time I was telling principal, yes, I was telling after the graduation, I think I'll be finished. My vision is done. But again, why is it that I'm seeing that I want again to upgrade? He said, now each step you finish, you create another one. If you want something in life, you have to create that structural tension. And Mwalimu always tells me, what do you want? Tell me, go back, put it in written. Don't forget. That's what has helped me, and I'm seeing at least I've changed my life.
So since 1987, we have been engaging with the communities, designing programs that work in areas of water, sustainable agriculture, in rural technologies, looking at all those things that the people care about, how to generate income to support their projects. And we worked with a number of women groups, youth groups, and communities, villages, to protect water springs. So we would sit down with the communities and say, what do you want to see happen in your community? At the beginning, it was not easy because they were not used to that approach. They want you to come in and ask them what the problems, and the list was long. And we tell them, no, wait a minute, we didn't come here to solve problems. We came here to see how you can work for a better life and think differently and act differently. So through what we call community action planning in the communities, with the awareness and thinking. So we said, okay, what life do you want for yourselves, for your community, what changes? So we would use the structural tension. We had learned how to use that one. Where do you want to be in 2 years, 3 years, in 1 year? Where are you now? so that the people start appreciating that there is a difference between where they want to be and where they are. And then they would come up with action steps, what to do with who and when. And the priorities were very clear. They wanted to have clean, safe water. They wanted to have good food. Of course, by then it was called the balanced diet. They wanted good food. They wanted good housing. They wanted the sanitation. So those would actually they are the ones which informed the program design of our interventions, emerging and coming from the communities themselves. And then they would set up working groups, those in charge for health, those in charge for agriculture, those in charge for environment. Then we come and train them again in the technicalities of farming, the technicalities of organizing, how to help a group also make its own vision and know where they are and where they want to go.
So we've been in Uganda here at URDT specifically since August of 2019.
Blooper number 1.
Take
3.
Okay, action. We've been at URDT for about 9 months, and we came from sort of professional backgrounds, working on the grind, never really had any exposure to something like the creative process. For me personally, I come from an engineering background, and everything is problem solving. So coming to URDT and seeing the creative process in motion and at work has been really enlightening for me.
In terms of development, I think that the creative process, personally, in my opinion, is the way to do it. You can look at development in terms of relief efforts, but when you look at the way URDT is educating women, looking at the potential there and seeing what can be created when you empower a woman to make changes in society. For me personally, I love being involved with an organization who approaches development that way, because I just don't think that the relief efforts, which are problem solving, really can make an impact in our world for the long term.
I completely agree. I think from a development standpoint, for decades, it's always been about solving the next problem. And what you see is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Places that have been quote unquote developing for years and years and years are moving forward so slowly, because they move forward, they move backward, they're oscillating. And I think the creative process can be an incredible tool in development to eliminate that oscillation and to get developing nations moving forward without taking those steps backward.
This couple was in poverty and in debt a number of years ago, but they used the principle of structural tension to change their lives dramatically. After training in the creative process at URDT, they began to chart a vision of what they wanted, which included a flourishing farm business. Now they have the farm they wanted, which is growing bananas, coffee, and livestock. They have a nice house and a steady income, something their friends and family scoffed about when they started out to create their vision. They have gone from poor to affluent by local standards. They regularly teach what they've learned to students from the local schools.
So our vision was this: earning not less than 3 million per month. And our current reality by then was that we were in negatives, and we didn't have any income as a family. And when you want to settle, the fact is there is always what we call a head, what I may call a head, a person, an initiator, a person who begins something, or a person who holds a vision, and that was my husband. He included me and shared the vision with me. We already had our vision, and I've told you this is our current reality. We normally demonstrate this using this elastic rubber band. You can see this is the current reality where you are standing. Where you are standing in poverty, when there is nothing to write home about, when you are crying, everybody is laughing at you. That is what we call the current reality. But what you are aiming at, what you are looking at, you may be looking at a very beautiful house. That is what we call the vision. You understand? It may not be already in place, but you look at it as if it is already in place, so complete, so beautiful. You look at yourself driving. You look at yourself in a very good life. So this is the vision. And when you want to move towards your vision, you have to walk, moving from your current reality, which is here, slowly by slowly, taking each step. And that space in there is what we call the structural tension. You have to resolve it in order to move towards achieving your what? Your vision.
Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to mobilize, people, or to organize people to work together for, something that is good for them. So in this particular sub-county called Chenzige sub-county, there are two communities who were separated by a swamp. And for more than 30 years, they have tried to find ways of how to, connect these two villages. Once they connect that, if they had a permanent route through that swamp, they would be able to access, markets, health services, education services from a broader scope in the nearby town center. But within a period of 2 years, when they engaged with a graduate of Aru, this graduate used the same principles we promote, help people to define the aspiration they have, refine the vision they have, look at where they are, and then they develop action steps on how to get there. One of the action steps they developed is once a week, and in this case, one community is settled on Thursdays, another community is settled on Wednesdays, the neighboring community. And the people diligently worked on this road. Now, when they had made significant progress on it, they talked to the district local government, which then brought equipment to have a better and permanent road. It was now put in the district budget. Last year, that road was launched officially. It didn't stop at that level. Because other communities were seeing what was going on here, they started benefiting from this road. There are 6 other villages who are doing the same. That's the kind of transformation that we are talking about in respect to having impact at the community level. There are many other examples I could give, but that really shows that, yes, transformation can begin from an individual and spreads out the whole community.
The Epicenter Strategy. Without a proper economic and social foundation, many young people migrate from a rural to an urban setting. Too often they don't find what they're looking for, and instead find life harder. In 2012, URDT developed the Epicenter Strategy, in which graduates from the African Rural University work with communities in coordination with local governments to bring to rural life a new level of leadership, development, social transformation, and new stimulating possibilities. The graduates of ARU become effective change agents in fostering a collective creative process in which people develop their own shared aspirations for their communities. This is done within the principles of the human rights-based approach to development, a tenet of the United Nations Guidelines for Development. Currently, the Epicenter Strategy operates in 24 sub-counties in 3 districts. This initiative enables local governments and groups within the community to move from a problem-driven orientation to an outcome-driven, visionary and creative orientation. People join together to discuss, learn, generate ideas, develop skills, create action plans, and take their future into their own hands. African Rural University, or the ARU, was launched in 2006. However, ARU was conceived as part of the URDT Strategy for Rural Transformation in 1987. It was conceived as an institution of higher learning to propel strategic development within rural communities. The university is the first all-women's university in East Africa. Most students are talented rural women who have experienced ineffective interventions for sustainable economic and social change. From that experience, they have a practical sense of what doesn't work well: crisis intervention, aid, relief, and other such programs that are unable to sustain themselves over time. From their experience at ARU, they have a real sense of what can work well long term. These students are dedicated to working in rural settings, and they practice leadership using the creative process to enable communities to become the centre of their own development. ARU programs are founded on a strong foundation of Indigenous knowledge and experience of over 25 years in rural development by URDT. It is safe to say there is nothing quite like this special university anywhere in the world. The vision is that what these students are pioneering will become common practice within the next number of years.
My name is Anyenge Christine Ojok, a second-year student at African Rural University.
My name is Atgonza Fiona. I'm a student at African Rural University, and I'm in my second year, pursuing a Bachelor's of Rural Development.
I was introduced to a course called Fundamental of the Creative Process.
I was first in the URDT Girls School. Before joining URDT Girls School, I didn't know anything concerning the visionary approach. In that, I was dealing with the problem-solving orientation.
But currently, I no longer react to any problems. I create what I really want, and I've realized that I am the predominant creative force in my real life.
I went and carried out a baseline survey in my community. Then I looked at what is the very big challenge facing the women in my community. And I found out majority of the women lack the basic needs in their homes, whereby plates, saucepans, they have scarcity. They have very many children, they have few mattresses. Then I said, what should I do on this? I started up a women's circle or women's association. And we started with the women. I was like, what do we actually want to bring about changes in your homes? I want to see you progress as you learn from me, as I learn from you. So we agreed and we started up a savings society. So with this circle, we do savings and credit. Some amount of money, half of the money we save is used to purchase household assets. And half of the money is used to borrow the members. They go and invest in agriculture and in their businesses, such as that they get more money.
This fundamental of creating really made my life change in a way that everything I do, I based it on creating.
So the visionary approach has really changed my life, because now I know what I actually want and I'm working towards achieving it.
Uganda, twino busobozi okuhindura ebiteeka byaitu ebyomu byalo bikurakurane tugayikale. Abakyala Uganda, twino busobozi okuhindura ebiteeka byaitu ebyomu byalo bikurakurane tugayikale. Tuleke bisuba abakyala emirimo nyingi
We have a unique approach to education, which we call the two generations approach, whereby we are training the child together with the parent. They learn together, they formulate the family vision, then they analyze their current reality and develop actionable steps towards realizing their set vision. So we look at the child as the icon for development in this respect. The kind of families where these children come from, that we find most of the parents have not gone to school, they are not literate, but when the child joins the school, we believe that this child learns together with the parent, and this is done in the different workshops that we usually organize to create a forum for learning. The child first of all is engaged in a number of activities, which activities help them to develop at individual level. They develop skills in speaking, they gain the confidence, they can address issues confidently. Then they also get skills in they get entrepreneurial skills like in art and craft and other things. They are involved in agribusiness studies. They are involved in games and sports for their physical fitness, which also has a connotation to the emotional well-being of an individual. So that one in itself makes my school unique. We believe that the child learns together with the parent the knowledge, the skills, the information that they acquire through this learning helps also to transform the homes where these children come from. We really see transformation in the homes, whether rural, whether urban, but the child, when she's in school, she must be in position to ensure that this transformation happens, such that the quality of life of people is changed for the better.
My name is Atgon Sayon, a student at UADT Girls School, Form 6. I joined UADT Girls School in 2010 when I was in Primary 5. Before I joined the UADT Girls School, our current reality was, by then, poor sanitation, poor nutrition, domestic violence, whereby we couldn't handle any family issue. But when I joined UADT Girls School for the first week, I was with my mom. So we went through the orientation workshop where they taught us about very many things on how to make a vision. Then they made us to make a vision of what we truly want to achieve in future. We made our vision with my mom. Then after, they taught us about very many things like hardworking, cooperation, how we can improve on our families by carrying out agriculture and very many activities. In our vision, we wanted to achieve a permanent house, piggery project, banana plantation. We wanted to plant trees. By the end of this year, we shall have completed everything. In our vision, we also plan to plant trees. Also in our vision, we included to have the food crops like cassava, beans, sweet potatoes, which are already in place in order to improve on our well-being and lifestyle.
When
he went forward, learning the workshop, they taught us that us as a family and the parents, we have to be having food crops in our families. He took it as something serious. The food that we eat, we don't buy it, but we just harvest it from our own gardens. We also sell the surplus. And the income got helps us to look after and pay school fees for my siblings. They also guided us on how to carry out afforestation.
endi era okwo baitwenya kuli haihini yenu.
Yeah, we also achieved that one, which was in our plan.
Twabyaraho ebitooke.
We planted some bananas.
Baitu nyarora kimu.
And he saw
ngo batwaire muhara wange
when they took me to URDT.
Nyonka ganyirwamu muno habwokuba ebyokwega binge bikurakuraniza amaka gange.
He earned a lot because very many things that we studied from there, he achieved them, and which is making our family prosper.
Ninsima muno.
So he thanking URDT.
Ekitongole kya URDT nabo bonyini abakutwara abana baitu nibatuhereza obuyambi.
So he's thanking the organization of URDT for taking us and give us guidance on how to prosper in life.
Ninsaba Mukama Ruhanga abahereza omugisa.
He's begging the Lord to
I love it.
But in our design, we had already thought about it that you cannot do development work if you have no successor generation who can take these ideas and then apply them. Because I remember talking to the district administrator then said, but what do you intend to do in the long run? Say what we have brought here is a permanent idea. All that needs to be done is how to embed it in the communities, how to embed it in their institutions so that it is institutionalized. And to me, the idea of institutionalizing the principles of creating was very, very important, and it still remains important for me.
We are happy in the light of God. We are happy in the light of God. We are happy. We are happy. Oh, we are happy in the light of God. We are happy. We are happy in the light of God. We are happy in the light of God. We are happy. We are happy. We are happy. Oh, we are happy in the light of God.
My name is Kulsum Hasacha. I'm an artist, and I learned how to create fabrics, drawings, sculpture, and painting. And basically, my teachers taught me how to put different things in order for the purpose of passing exams or even selling. And then when I was introduced to the creative life orientation, I learned how to really focus what I'm creating with the passion I have in life, what I really want in life. And then it also brought freedom in a sense that I'm not obliged to do anything, but I do something because I want it. And then I choose different things to do in relation to supporting the results I want to create. So in a sense, the creative life orientation has given me freedom to choose the actions I want to make to support the results I want to create at individual and institutional level. So for example, I work with students, I work with staff, and then we've learned how to organize different things using the leadership role to organize and focus on what do we want to see. And then we look at it in detail. And then when it's clear for us, we hold what we want to see with where we are now. And then after that, we agree on steps. At the end of it all, you have a complete structure that is giving you freedom to create the results you want. I've been a leader to manage studies as a director of studies. I've headed teachers as a head teacher in the girls' school section, and I'm currently the coordinator of the education program working with the URDT schools closely, the girls' school and 2 community schools. And basically, we use that as our organizing principle to create the results we want to see at personal level, at institutional level, and in the families of the students, and it yields great results.
Ekirale kyawe kiraha, ubulwa ekirale
what? Will you have created what you want? No. You will have got rid of what you don't want. So problems can be solved. You have created nothing new. But in the creating, you bring into reality something new. And that's the distinction between the two orientations.
I must appreciate URDT very much, because from that workshop and the own workshops which were going on, I had a plan and a drawn plan in my book for the future I wanted to be. But I want to thank URDT because I have achieved all what I wanted. I wanted a good house which I have built. I wanted a cattle farm, a farm which I have already had. I wanted a very good compound which I have already achieved. I wanted to educate my children, which I have already done. I'm now a free man and a happy man.
You are Dr. Mwalimu Musesa assisted me to learn English. I learned computer. I know how computer is. Other side, I'm a traditional wisdom specialist to taught you are at an African Rural University. Other side, I present the program Family Life Education every Monday. That's why it's achievement on my side. And I helped the people in the village to taught them how you can behave in the family and the village. That is my achievement.
The family life. In the workshop, Mwalimu Musese talked about visionary approach. And when he was talking about visionary approach, he said a man is a key to his own development. And he demonstrated a rubber band like this one. He said, if you want yours to be of this size, it's up to you. If you want of this size, it's up to you. If you want this size, it's up to you. Then I picked the idea and I was impressed. I said, no, I should do my best and maximize what I can really do. When I went home, I started working hard, day and night, evening and morning, until when I achieved what I wanted it to be.
I came to Uganda to work with local NGOs as a development practitioner, and I met Musheshe, and I discovered that he was using a very different approach, called the creative approach to design of development interventions, while other NGOs were using the problem-solving approach. Me, myself, through interacting with Musheshe, I also changed my professional way of looking at how development programs were designed, because I discovered that NGOs who were working with the problem-solving approach, they may have some impact, but they would never cause lasting change. While the approach Musheshe was using was really making a fundamental change in people's life, they would truly transform. So over the years, we discovered that actually it's very important that if we want to make a systemic change, we need to set up a school as an example of how we should change young people in such that to help them in such a way that they would become creators of their own life. So we say we need to change the education system and make sure that the principles of creating is being taught also in schools, as it is a fundamental skill all people need to have in order to become leaders in their own lives. So we founded the UDT Girls School in 2000, and I can now say with confidence that in the course of time, we really see young girls who come to the school as very shy, from their disadvantaged backgrounds, to see them to become leaders. You can see that they have actually the structural tension, because they're very clear on the life they want. They know where they are currently, and we see them moving forward and become leaders in their own lives. And we see them transforming their homes and communities, and they become confident, and they have that continuous structural tension in themselves to always work towards a clear goal that they have formulated.
We used to spend 2 days driving from Kampala, and I remember my team of professors from Makerere. They said, "What the heck? There is a lot of poverty near Kampala. Do you have to travel this way in order to do development work? There are so many problems." I was telling them we are looking for the following. One, we want to go in an area which is uncontaminated with relief and aid, as it is known in this country, because we had just come out of the war and everyone was expecting aid. Two, we want to be where there is the multicultural setting, where there are a combination of many people who are living together. And we are told such areas also have complexities in terms of differences and tribe or religion. So we want to be in such area where the idea of the principles of creating rather than problem solving actually can take root.
If we are saying this is where we are and we are moving towards this desired situation, we must design action steps that are going to help us reach our higher goal. So she talks of being with supportive friends. Do you agree with her? Yes. Supportive friends are those friends who will always tell you the truth, who will assist you in academics, who will always, if you do something bad, they show you that this is bad. That is a supportive friend. Yes, Machulet?
Respecting yourself as well as others.
Respect for self and others. Very good. Yes.
Creating more time for revision.
More time for revision. So we talked about wasting time, not managing time well. Yes.
Consultation.
Consultations. Whom are we consulting?
Teachers and students.
Very good. Next. Who hasn't said something? I think none. Yes, Muru?
Having discussion groups.
Discussion groups.
Dr. amaze kubona ikara kandi abanywanyi banga abandi bagenda kubona batusangizamo tudashisa kari kaptandike Dr. Ramkyatulirize
Mirembe
benayititwena
Kagadi Community Radio, KKCR 91.7 FM, provides a voice to the voiceless and a platform for information sharing and dialogue among all development actors. KKCR broadcasts 18 hours per day in 7 local languages and English. It covers effectively 10 districts and has an estimated audience of 1 million listeners. Its aim is to enhance peace, unity, solidarity and collaboration through information sharing and dialogue among all development actors. The radio has primarily a developmental function. The radio dedicates 90% of its airtime to education programs. It offers a forum to government officials, local leaders, women, youth, politicians, NGOs and other stakeholders to share their knowledge and skills to improve the quality of life of the rural poor. The radio gives voice to marginalized people to share their experiences and opinions. The radio is run by a team of professionals and over 100 volunteers, including the URDT students.
Politics buzihika hati ntuhule nsonga zevyapa buzikubwa nibichulere hata abatakasikana bagamba tulinka tuli hacyapa obatikiro hata musaijono Alphonse.
When the people in Fort Potro, Kabarole, were evicted, and this is a very good turning point for us also, when they were evicted in 1994 from the National Reserves, they brought in ADRA, they brought in World Vision International, they brought in Oxfam, they brought in, there were about 5 agencies to settle the people in Bugangaiz. And one of the members of parliament said, you know guys, if you are going to succeed with this one, talk to Musheshe. Why? Those are NGOs. It's an NGO with a difference. So then the Ministry of Labour and Social Welfare, working with the Prime Minister's office, they called us to go to Bugangaiz. And that's how we started the offices in Narwe and in Koko. Our approach was the same. So let us sit down and look at where you want to be 2, 3 seasons from now, because this is rainy season, there will be another rainy season, there will be another season. Now, the challenge that they had, here is the group that has been evicted. So they are relying on aid and relief. So they are bringing this non-relief offering agencies like you are sabotaging the program. They didn't see it as an opportunity. But with conversations about what changes can be over a period of time, they started slowly by slowly. We started with one village of the evicted people and another village of the indigenous people. And we did that deliberately because we are telling the government that whether they are evicted or the indigenous people, actually if you examine very closely, you'll find the people who are here originally are poorer than the people who have come in. But again, their thinking is, you know, these are victims of circumstances, so handle them differently. I said, no, let us take the issue at a higher level rather than the event that has happened. We want development for everybody because you are not going to have parallel development for the evicted people and the newly settled and for the indigenous. You need to integrate. So, and we did the integration. I can tell you to date, Narwe, Kisita, Nkoko are the bread baskets of the region. If you go there, the housing, the roads, the water systems, they have their own banks, they have their own cooperatives. We helped them also to secure money from VOCA. And within a few years, I think it took only 2 years, they were weaned from relief. And the takeoff was incredible. Now it is an independent district. So because of what? Helping the people to have that structural tension, to see what to do and to accomplish in which period of time, where are we, and designing actions in favor of what they want to create. And those that came in using the problem solving approach, after the project was over and they went, the programs don't go beyond 6 months, 1 year, and then you see deteriorating. And I think that is the main difference between what we are doing here with the communities and what many agencies actually adopt, which is traditional and historical and familiar, because that's what they teach us in school. Because what we are doing is not taught in school. It's because, as I said at the beginning, the contact between our partners in the African Food and Peace Foundation and people like Robert Fries and later Peter Seng of Systems Thinking, that they brought those ideas into the development arena.
Why is the creative process so well suited to development? It is because it is the most successful process for accomplishment in history. It's created the arts, science, technology, commerce, and so much more. People have a natural instinct to create. They also have an instinct to join together to create their lives, their communities, their societies, and their countries. And yet, most people and institutions think in terms of solving problems rather than creating the outcomes they desire. The URDT and its related organisations are changing that. They are proving that development is sustained by the creative process because creating generates the desire to create more and more. Of course, the question is, can people of various cultures learn how to create? The answer is obvious. Every culture, every country, everywhere has the arts. The foundation of URDT is from the tradition of the arts, which is at its roots the creative process. The arts, and therefore the creative process, is built into the essence of all cultures, and because of that, it is natural and instinctive to adopt it as a way of life, as individuals, as organisations, as institutions, as the world itself.
Nsimire